Live and online, it's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
I'm Steve Pulaski, and this is Sleepless with Steve. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening as best we can. 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. Usually it's 6:30. Things are getting a little wonky. I'll talk about them in a few short minutes. No show last week due to mitigating circumstances. My car decided it needed a brand new Sterling $600 starter last Thursday. So that was a lot of fun getting towed and everything. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but yeah, let me tell you, if your car's got over 100,000 miles on it and you're wondering, did I ever replace the starter? My car's on the same starter. Just to let you know, you got to listen when you go to turn the key. Listen, your car tells you languages. You got to try to understand them. That's my little PSA today. This is Sleepless with Steve. Hope you liked the intro because it was in a little tie to the movie we're talking about today that I've been anxiously awaiting to talk about. That's why last week was frustrating for me personally. Jackass Forever on the docket today. We're going to wrap up the show probably for the last 20, 30 minutes, talk about that movie. And I know we got a lot to say about it. It's making good money at the theater, so it's a good chance you saw it. So we'll be getting into that. Oscar nominations out last week as well. We've had about a week to marinate over them. And the Oscars now are still over a month and a half away. The Oscars are not happening until March 27th, so they were very early in their announcement, which by the grace of God for me works out because next month I'm moving to a brand new city I've only been to once, and I have no friends out there, and I have plenty of time to catch up on the nominations. So that works out for your boy over here. And we're remembering a great director. We'll get to that in a few short minutes. But it is Sleepless with Steve, as I've said before, and I would not be anything without my two loyal co-hosts, Joe Viso in the gray, Dominic Guanzon, trademark blue polo. Dominic, how are you on this Wednesday?
Oh man, it's been a week. It's been tough at work. It's been tough all over, and the weather's going to give us a good bitch slap all the way through Friday. So. Yeah, we'll see how we do. But I always got my boys here to talk the hard-hitting Oscars stuff and all the movie news in between. So, yeah.
Staying safe out there. Just started raining over here about 20 minutes ago. So nice. We get rain, then sleet, then snow. And it was also 50. I don't know what it was by you guys, but it was 56 out here. That was the high today. So we've got all the seasons all in one over here today, and it's going to be in the single digits by tomorrow night. So that's great. This is great getting sick weather. Joey, how are you today? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It was like 53 out over here, and it was funny because I left work today wearing my winter hat, winter gloves, winter jacket, all this stuff bundled up, acting like it was about to be below zero outside. And when I got outside and went to the office, everybody was looking at me as if I came from like a polar vortex. I'm just so used to getting up in the morning and just like, okay, this. All right, let's go. Let's get in the car, drive. And then next thing you know, I walk in and people are looking at me and I'm just like, well, it's not really spring out, guys. I mean, look what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow.
This is the second 50-degree day this month. This is fake spring part 2.
Yep.
You know, we get like 8 of these throughout the course of winter, fake spring, where there's a stretch of like 2 or 3 days where it's abnormally warm and then the temperature drops. Because usually when it gets warm this year, that's usually sign something's going to happen. Because then there's going to be a cold front or a snow front or something that's going to drop the temperature. But good to see you guys staying safe, staying healthy. Let's jump right into it, though, because this news came out like immediately after the Super Bowl on Sunday. I don't know if you watched it. Joe, I know you did. Dom, did you and Chelsea watch the Super Bowl, partake in any football festivities?
Yes, we did. We didn't care about anyone, but we didn't care about anyone that wasn't during the halftime show. But yeah, it was a game. There were balls thrown.
Yes, indeed. I just want to say one thing. The guy I went to high school with, and I'm not trying to pretend like I knew the guy very well and stuff. We were not friends. He was a young.
I knew you'd mention this.
You're younger than me. David Edwards, offensive lineman for the Rams, Downers Grove North High School alum. Got that Super Bowl ring, baby.
That's awesome.
I looked up at Pro Football Reference this morning. He is the only NFL player that went and graduated from Downers Grove North High School, and the boy got a Super Bowl ring. We breed nothing but champions at DGN. What can I say? So that
One
was
for
sweet.
one.
He was the quarterback. He was the quarterback of the high school team. And
Yeah,
then
what was his position?
He was a guard. He's an offensive lineman. He bulked up he went to Wisconsin. He bulked up.
He ate all that cheese up there.
He consulted Joe Thomas, a fellow Wisconsin alum, the legendary, soon to be Hall of Famer, offensive lineman from the Browns, Joe Thomas. And he learned to be an offensive lineman. He went to Wisconsin, was very good, drafted in the, I want to say, third round in 2019. And yeah, boy got a Super Bowl ring about it. That was awesome.
That's cool, man.
That's honestly, that's a very shrewd business decision, because quarterbacks is something else. That's probably the most hardest thing to get. Whereas linemen, okay, you can fit. There's literally more linemen in every football team, so that's a real commitment, like a body change to make that kind of change, to go from quarterback. That's your bread and butter, going through probably kid to high school and then going to NFL guard. Wow. Okay.
The difference between a quarterback and an offensive lineman is probably at least 100 pounds.
Yeah, at least.
It's a daunting position. And the problem with offensive linemen, you get no credit. You get no credit. Unless you're excellent, you get no credit because you never touch the ball. You rarely, if ever, touch the ball. I was watching a Rams game earlier this year in prime time, and I remember there was a flag on the Rams, and it was like, I don't remember what it was. Holding, offense, number 73, 10-yard penalty. And I'm like, that's my boy, David Edwards. Get that penalty, boy. So, yeah, I wasn't close with him at all, but I'm happy as hell for him. My local high school, I drove by it actually last weekend, and they had on the sign, congratulations, David Edwards. Good luck in Super Bowl 56. So that was sweet. It was sweet to see him get a ring on top of some other great people on that team. But anyway, shifting gears completely. You guys didn't see this, I think, until later. I forgot to message it to you guys because it was so late. I went to bed after the game. It was a long day for me. I saw it like almost about 5 minutes after the game ended. The director Ivan Reitman passed away, which was very sad news. We talked about Ivan Reitman. Joe, you weren't on the show, but we talked about Ivan Reitman a little bit when we reviewed Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is directed by Jason Reitman, his son. Jason Reitman's done a handful of movies, Juno for one. He's done Men, Women, and Children with Adam Sandler. But Ivan Reitman, however, the father, Ivan Reitman, though, no small name to sneer at. This is a guy who directed Ghostbusters 2. Stripes was another one. One of his most underrated movies, I think, is a movie called Dave. Political kind of comedy drama with Kevin Kline in it. I think that's one of his most underrated ones. Fittingly, his last directorial effort was in 2014. A movie that I think I liked more than most was the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner. And that was a pretty good movie too, about the NFL and the draft process for GMs and stuff. That was very good as well. He did No Strings Attached. So he was always invested in comedy. He always had kind of comedy, sometimes took on a satirical edge, but he's obviously most known for Ghostbusters. And the thing about Ghostbusters is that Ghostbusters, the conceit of Ghostbusters is really, I don't want to say a kid movie, but it has that spirit, ghosts and science fiction and fantasy. But the movie, go back and watch the original Ghostbusters. The movie around it, the banter of these middle-aged men at the time, the banter of it is very much a PG-13, like maybe even lightly era-specific R-rated movie before PG-13 was a thing. Like that kind of a movie. So it was like, kind of adult-centered humor with a kid mix. And that's what really took off Ivan Reitman's career on top of Stripes. That's when he first worked with Bill Murray, and the rest was history. So
Adult Brat Pack.
Adult Brat Pack. There you go. He passed away, though, on Sunday at the age of 75 in California. He leaves behind a lot of good movies. He's produced a handful, too. His last film project, actually, was Ghostbusters Afterlife, in which he did take on, apparently, a motion capture role, which I thought was interesting. He took on a motion capture role he's kicking his son back a little bit, I suppose, for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So regardless of what you think of the movie, that's pretty cool. But big rest in peace to Ivan Reitman. Anything to add on that? I didn't want to start the show without giving him his just dues.
For me, I grew up watching a lot of his comedies because my dad grew up watching his comedies. So he showed me Ghostbusters, he showed me Animal House, he showed me Stripes, he showed me all those movies that Reitman did, and it's just sad to see. I mean, the guy, like, if I had to pick a movie from the '80s, like top 3 favorite movies, Ghostbusters is probably on there. It's such a fun movie, and I completely agree with everything Steve said when it comes to the banter of all those characters and how they interact and everything. It's what makes that movie so magical, and it's something still, I mean, despite what people might think about Afterlife or even the sequel to Ghostbusters or even that 2016 female reboot, I don't think any of those films have captured the magic that movie had when it came to the banter those guys had together. That truly was lightning in a bottle, and like it's an iconic film, it's an iconic franchise, and it was amazing. And like I said, I love Animal House, and Stripes to me is my favorite movie he's ever made. I absolutely love Stripes. I think it's great. I wish it got more love than it usually does. But yeah, it was sad to see him go. And I've enjoyed the films he's produced. I enjoyed the films his son has made, especially Up in the Air. That's one of my favorite films his son has made.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Up in the Air to me is, if I had to pick a film that Jason has done that I think is probably his best work, is probably Up in the Air. But, it's sad to see him go. He made it to 75. To me, always, that's still young. Once you make it to 80, I feel like you lived a full life. But, hey, I mean, compared to some of the other people we lost earlier this year and even last year, like, he at least went the distance almost.
Dominic, any final words for Ivan Reitman, the late, great Ivan Reitman?
Not really. Unfortunately, his filmography is not one I'm too familiar with. But, yeah, it's hard to overstate just how important. I mean, I'll say Bill Murray is in 80s filmography, and seeing the man behind, or at least worked very closely with him for, gosh darn, not just Ghostbusters but freaking Stripes. That's huge. That's a game maker right there. So seeing it's definitely an industry loss more than a mainstream one. But it's you got to pay your dues, just dues.
Indeed. Rest in peace to Ivan Reitman. That was very sad to hear, especially after the game and everything. And I feel like it kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit too, with the commotion of the Super Bowl and all the commercials and stuff. So, that was another thing too. I kind of feel like it came and went faster than any of these other celebrity deaths that we've experienced recently too. But moreover, moving forward, the 94th Academy Awards nominations were announced on Tuesday of last week, I do believe. And, the Oscars now, they just came out too. If we had a show last week, we would probably touch on the fact that Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes are going to be hosting the Oscars. They're getting a trifecta of hosts. I would bet the over on it being 4 hours, over 4 hours, just an FYI. I will bet the over on that, especially now with 3 hosts. But that's not what we're talking about. I'd rather talk about the movies and stuff. And there's a lot to talk about. There's as always, there's a handful of surprises too, but there's, I think, a lot that the Oscars got right this year. And I will admit that of all the years in recent time, there's a handful of these movies I still need to play catch up with. There's a handful of these movies that I still need to play catch up with. A couple of the nominations, though, I'm happy to see, and then I'll turn it over to you guys for any sort of opinions you may have. Very happy. It's not necessarily a shock, but very happy Licorice Pizza gets a nomination for Best Picture. Very happy about that. It's one of my favorite movies of last year. Paul Thomas Anderson got a nomination for Best Director. It was always going to be a long shot that Alana Haim would get a nomination for Best Actress. Don't kid yourself. It was always going to be a long shot for her first major film role. And while it wasn't a transcendent, excellent performance, it was just a very magnetic and warm and very enigmatic performance in a way too. I think I equated her to Aubrey Plaza in my written review of it. that I was kind of on the outside hoping that she was going to get a nomination, but alas, she didn't. I'm still happy, though, Licorice Pizza is getting recognized because that is ultimately one of my favorite movies of last year. And of all the movies that I named as some of my favorites last year, like Pig, The Green Knight, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which I used my Oscar fan favorite vote on, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. So there's at least one person who voted for that movie for the fan vote. Of all the movies that I loved last year, Our Friends, another one. I knew those probably weren't getting any nominations, at least any significant nominations. Yeah. So I was happy to see Licorice Pizza merit several. On top of it, I think the nomination that made me fist bump as if I did something watching the Oscar nomination announcement last week was probably Jessie Buckley from The Lost Daughter. I was very happy to see her get nominated. Her and Olivia Colman, too. I kind of figured Colman was going to get the nomination. Colman obviously won for The Favorite a couple of years ago. She's been somebody that's been on the Oscars radar for years. Jessie Buckley, though, a different story. And the Oscars recognized her fantastic, difficult performance in The Lost Daughter. That was very, very nice to see. And then finally, too, I think the other third one of all the major categories that I'll throw in, too, very nice. I was not as high on this movie as a lot of other people, but I do like it. I appreciate it. Very happy for Andrew Garfield getting a nomination for Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
That's cool to see. That was one that got a lot of buzz immediately after it came out that, he could get an Oscar nomination for it and this and that and stuff. And I'm like, there's a chance. There's definitely almost, I thought, an outside chance. He got a nomination. I'm happy for him. Andrew Garfield's great. He gives a fantastic performance. That movie is essentially, it's based off a one-man show play. He's essentially a one-man show of that movie because he hogs so much camera time playing Jonathan Larson in Lin-Manuel Miranda's adaptation of the late Larson's play, / musical. So I was very happy even to see Andrew Garfield merit a nomination. And I guess lastly, I lied. I guess lastly, the thing I'll say, too, is of all the Best Picture nominations, they added a 10th one this year. Usually there's only 9. Now there's 10. I guess they could not get away with not nominating Nightmare Alley. That seemed like the shock. And I haven't seen Nightmare Alley. I've heard it's very good, and I believe it's very good.
It is very good.
But that was the one I think very few of us were expecting to get a Best Picture.
I think that movie's very good, and I even was shocked it got nominated because I was like, man, I just feel like nobody saw it, and the people that did see it go, yeah, it's good. Like it was just like, it is what it is.
Did it come out the same week as Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Was that the week it came out?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
That movie was sent to die. All right, like that movie stood no chance to make money, no matter what. They could have waited maybe 2 weeks for like the holiday season. No. It came out way before Spider-Man. It came out during Thanksgiving weekend because that's when I went to go see it.
That's right. Okay, yeah. It did it. Let me see.
No, never mind. It was Spider-Man. Because on the way to go see it, I was talking to my stepbrother about what we both thought of Spider-Man.
That's right. So that was the shocking one for me because I wasn't surprised with Power of the Dog. Drive My Car. I know not many people in America heard of that movie, but I've heard the rumblings of it, so I'm not shocked that one got it. Even Coda 2, that's another one. Child of Deaf Adults. I wasn't shocked at that one either. Nightmare Alley was the one where I was like, damn, really? I thought, if anything, The Lost Daughter would have gotten nominated before that one. But it's no hate. It was just a shock to me. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Dom. Any thoughts on the Oscar nominations? I know you got some opinions.
Hey, big shout out to up and comer here, Steven Spielberg. Yeah, hey, congrats, dude. That up and comer, man. I'm real proud of you. I'm always happy for the underdog. No, I haven't really done that much. Clearly, I haven't done much homework in terms of watching a lot of these movies. I think the one I do want to watch, having seen this, is actually Being the Ricardos, because the story of Lucille Ball has always been interesting to me. Because everyone thinks she's hey, she's just a funny TV person from I Love Lucy, but no, she's actually a major trailblazer in terms of the entertainment industry, particularly in television, not just for women but just in general. She's had so much influence. A lot of strings are tied to her work, her pushing for things. You'd be surprised, but I heard that movie actually, the performances are great, but the movie not so much. And I'm actually very curious about that dichotomy. That's actually what interests me the most, more than anything. Um, and then I probably should watch Licorice Pizza because there was a lot of hype about that, and I'm actually I'm very much into it. But anyway, those are probably the big two. God, actually, Eyes of Tammy Faye, isn't that about um, televangelist?
Yes, that's about Tammy
God.
Faye Baker.
God freaking damn it. Okay, that's also up my alley. So I clearly need to do a lot of homework here. But honestly, just happy about West Side Story. Not that that's, again, it's not an underdog, kind of an overdog, if you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, yeah, it still just makes me happy because that's just a movie that just did its job perfectly. It just did it. And, whatever awards it wins, I'm just going to be like, yeah, probably. I get it. Maybe some others might deserve more, sure, but I'll never be disappointed for any of these, if any of these win. And then I think the only other one is, yes, Tick Tick Boom. I knew that movie. It kind of died on Netflix's platform, or I take that back. If anything, it probably gave it a fighting chance.
Yeah, I was gonna say
a boost, but it was always doomed to die.
Yeah.
So just if anything else, yes, the performance by Andrew Garfield is the one thing. If I had to choose, that is the one I would pick. I don't think, because best original song, none of those are originals, so it's not qualified as in that category, despite it being a musical. That's why we don't see any West Side Story in that. The original is the key word there, which is why I was like, wait, West Side Story's, oh no, original. Okay.
I mean, we all know Billie Eilish is gonna win that because it always goes to the Bond song every year.
I really hope so.
That's got to be the chalk.
Yeah, that's the chalk. I haven't seen Encanto. Maybe so, like a Pixar kind of. Is that Pixar?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? That song is the highest charting Disney song. I only know this because I work in radio. That song is the highest charting Disney song since Let It Go.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno, right?
It's not.
We don't talk about
Pixar.
Bruno.
It's not Pixar, right?
It is Pixar.
No,
oh no, never mind. It's not. My bad.
Encanto's not. Encanto's Disney.
Okay, that's actually big. That's actually bigger than you realize, because the fact that, I mean, obviously it's Disney, but for so long, at least millennials are really accustomed to like Pixar, yeah, Disney, but that's completely changed ever since Frozen. I would say since at least Tangled, and obviously other, but
Disney's been killing it, man. We love to hate Disney. Don't get me wrong, we hate the Mouse Empire, believe me. But you can't deny that Disney's animated features. I mean, Wreck-It Ralph. There's been Big Hero 6. There's been so many. They've had it's hard to say Disney's had a renaissance, but as far as quality is concerned, as far as narratives are concerned, I haven't seen Encanto yet, but they have been on a very good resurgence. I would argue, like you even said, Dom, I would argue going back since Tangled.
I love Tangled. Yeah.
I watched Encanto, and it's good. It's actually like one of the more refreshing Disney movies because it goes against a lot of the types when it comes to or I should say types, but a lot of the tropes that Disney set themselves when it comes to animated films. I won't say what it is, but they very much go against it. And once you guys see it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
That one kind of got the shaft too initially from, and I can't exempt myself from this because this is ultimately why I didn't see it. And it wasn't that I thought it was. And it wasn't that I thought it was going to be bad. It just didn't. It didn't captivate me.
Yeah.
And I said it was a wait for Disney Plus thing. Was because of the fact that it was very similar visually and narratively, at least on a tangential level, to Coco.
Yeah.
And
those
I
trailers.
will watch it.
Those trailers didn't help either. Those trailers made the movie look okay at best. And yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, I'm not trying to sound racist, but a lot of the time I was watching that trailer, I'm like, man, it just looks like they're ripping off Coco. They just went into their own vault and went, hey, this worked and made a lot of money. Bam!
Disney already made the Mexican movie. Why are they making another one?
What else, Dom? Any other striking nominations? I was gonna say you had to be happy for. I know you had to be happier for Ariana DeBose for Best Supporting Actress.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, yes. That's actually, I forgot. Thank you. Super happy for that because if anything, that's the giveaway where it's of course the freaking Oscars are going to be obsessed over the woman of color who plays the trailblazing role played by the woman before. Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name.
Rita Moreno.
Rita Moreno, thank you. Rita Moreno, who won it before, and that story, just that factoid in progress, is just that's like that would be an upset if she didn't win, and I would actually be part of that gang because it's like she kind of killed it there. Now I could see Jessie Buckley pulling that from under the rug just because she did more of a. Well, more so the plot of the movie leaned into her way more as opposed to like she really is like the other half of that movie. So if Ariana DeBose doesn't win, I'm not going to be upset. I'm just going to be disappointed. But I get it. Let me okay, jokes aside, I do get it if she doesn't win. So yeah, sorry, Joe, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I was waiting for you to wrap up your point. I was disagreeing with you when it came to the nomination that you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, so if she wins, I'm going to be over the moon. If she doesn't, oh well.
I'll go. Right off the bat, I mean, this kind of sucks for me because, like, 2019, I saw every movie that was nominated for Best Picture, and that felt so cool because it was like, oh man, I feel like I know who's going to win. I even said, I'm like, it has to be Parasite or 1912, but I'm hoping it's Parasite. And the next thing you know, I felt vindicated in my choice. And even 2020. I was like, oh, like I saw most of these because we revived Sleepless, so like we had to talk about something, so we always went with Oscar talked movies and everything. This year has been the longest. It's been the longest time since I actually looked at the list of Best Pictures and went, damn, I haven't seen any of these. Like I didn't see Licorice Pizza. I didn't see Power of Dog. I still haven't seen West Side Story. I haven't seen Drive My Car. I haven't seen Coda. I didn't get to see Belfast. That's 6 out of the 10 I haven't seen. So I got a lot of homework to do.
Don't feel left out. I've only seen 6 of the 4 Best Pictures myself.
Okay. So I was just like, damn.
6 of the 4.
6 of the 10.
6 of the 10. Excuse me. 6 of the 10.
So it's just like, dang. I gotta get caught up here. But I've been mostly agreeing with everything you guys have been saying and everything. I hope Mitchell's vs. the Machines wins Best Animated Feature. I think, honestly, out of all those animated movies, all of them are good in their own regard. I just think Mitchell's vs. the Machines is the standout. But like some of the ones I was surprised to actually... I was surprised to see Nightmare Alley get nominated because it didn't get nominated for Jack for all the other categories. I think it's just production design and maybe costume design. It's just, that's it. Those are the only 2 categories that's nominated. So those costumes were on point and everything to get a nomination for Best Picture. But 3 films I was surprised to kind of get shafted. Not from just Best Picture, but just from anything. In the Heights, like nothing. Costumes, cinematography, song, nothing. Adapted screenplay, none of that there. What was I say? The Harder They Fall. I was shocked to see that one too. Kind of not get like anything, at least what set design, costume design.
That was surprising.
A Quiet Place Part 2. I was like, not for visuals or sound on that one either. Like that's some of the best
sound.
Yeah. Like honestly, they played with it the best in that movie. And then finally, I mean, like, I know not a lot of people saw this one, and then I was just kind of like, oh well, if anybody will remember it, it's the Oscars. But then I think back to Won't You Be My Neighbor, which forgot to get nominated by people. I'm like, all right, well, that's no surprise here when it comes to documentaries. But Edgar Wright's documentary, The Sparks Brothers, I know a ton of people didn't see that, and that was like on my best of when we did our list. It was in my top 10. And again, it kind of just got like shafted to the side. If you haven't seen it, I still think it's on Netflix or Hulu. It's on one of those 2. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a documentary to watch one night. But yeah, I was surprised by all 4 of those just not getting any like sort of love whatsoever at all. I was glad to see Dune get nominated. That was cool. And I've talked to so many people telling me that like they're glad Dune got nominated because it shows like, oh, like, cinema isn't dead and everything. I'm just like, oh, shut up. Like, and I bring up my reasoning to them, like, yeah, Dune's a good movie, but guys, like, Dune was also like a bunch of characters just playing it very monotone and straightforward, no personality whatsoever. Okay, let's not act like it was a revolution of filmmaking here. It was very good regardless, but yeah, no, I got to get caught up with some of these movies, especially because Steve has been glowing about Licorice Pizza, and Dom is glowing about West Side Story, and I didn't see either of those.
Love West Side Story.
So, it was cool to see Kristen Stewart get nominated because I did see Spencer, and I thought she was very good in that. But yeah, other than that, it just looks like every other year for me. Most of the nominations, I'm like, yeah, that belongs there and everything. I am not angry Spider-Man didn't get nominated other than visual effects. I knew that was the only category it was getting nominated for.
Knew it.
Like,
you knew it.
Everybody being like, no, man, this is the year a Marvel movie will be nominated for Best Picture.
Nah.
And I said, hell no, it's not. I love that movie. I think it's great. It ain't getting nominated for Best Picture, okay?
my 4-star rating for Spider-Man is completely contingent on the fact that it actually managed to bring together the web of franchises and whatever. It's an artistic achievement almost like on a corporate level, not an actual.
Like Roger Ebert. Like Roger Ebert used to say too. He said, like in this case, he says, I'll say I'll paraphrase, but he's like, when I give Spider-Man 2 4 stars, I'm not equating it to Citizen Kane 4 stars. He says I'm giving it a 4-star rating based on the confines in which it operates.
Thank you for saying
he's done it for like Adam Sandler movies. Like I give Adam Sandler movies like 3 stars out of 4 because it's as good as something else that's way more.
I always
artistic.
tell people, I think people feel like I'm compiling like the world's longest top 5,000 movie list in my mind.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I had one of our friends.
Like I'm ranking every single thing I've watched. You can't do that. That's impossible and it's unfair to the movie.
One of my friends, and I swear to God, look at the camera and say this. Nick, if you're watching this, screw you for saying this to me because they're gonna these two are gonna get mad when they hear this just as much as I did. When one of my friends, Nick, watched us gave Jungle Cruise 3 out of 4 stars, and then he got pissed at us that we gave Dune 3 out of 4 stars. And he was like, how can those two be the exact same rating? And I'm like, that you have to understand where I'm judging Jungle Cruise on in terms of Disney action adventure movies compared to Dune, which is these, artistic big budget, like, Lord of the Rings size epics. Like...
Well, no, I do think that The Rock really achieved something.
Don't say it,
Emily Blunt, that was a snub this year at the Oscars. Emily Blunt, that was a total snub. I didn't mention my snubs, and we'll get into this. We'll take the intermission. We'll come back, talk Jackass Forever. High art. Speaking of high art cinema.
I don't have any snubs. Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, for the snubs for me, go for it.
Sorry, one last one. I think Dom and I will relate to this. Even you, Steve. Zendaya for Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah, that was another one that could have been that could have should have been even recognized too. That wasn't where my mind was going immediately. I am kind of pissed off. I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed at the end of the day, but I am kind of pissed off the Green Knight didn't get anything.
Yeah.
I'm kind of aggravated about that. I was hoping visual effects for that one.
I did end up watching it, and I wish I put it on my top 10 because it is a damn good movie.
Or costume design or something like that was that would have been something cool. Even The Last Duel too, which merited an inexcusable Razzie, but I don't want to talk about them any more than I already have. Ben Affleck got a Razzie nomination for The Last Duel. That was ridiculous. But those were the 2 snubs for me. I am kind of surprised that The Lost Daughter didn't get a Best Picture nomination too. I kind of am on that one. You know what I will say though? We didn't mention it yet, and this will probably be where I end at least. You know which one I'm really happy to see, and I can't speak for these other documentaries. I really can't. Although I do know Ascension's coming in with some pretty good buzz. That's the documentary on China and like classism in China. But that one's coming in with some pretty good hype too. I don't want to say it's a lock or a shoo-in, but I would really like to see, and I'd like to think Summer of Soul is the front runner for Best Documentary Feature. I would like to see and say that. And it's pretty awesome that if you think back to last year's Oscars, Questlove was DJing the Oscars, and that is where he announced Summer of Soul, and they played the trailer, and now he's got an Oscar nomination for that, because that was probably, looking back, my favorite documentary of 2021.
Same.
That was an incredible doc.
I will say I do have one category. If Free Guy wins Best Visual Effects, I actually might put my foot through the TV. Like, I did not like that movie. I do not understand why that movie got so much love.
That's got to go
Free
to
Guy.
Dune or Spider-Man.
Well, no, Free. That's the documentary about the Taiwanese prisoner, right? Free Guy, right? That's the.
That's the Adam Sandler movie where they're fighting Pac-Man in the street. Isn't that one? But that's got to go to. I think that's probably going to go to Dune. If I had to make an early guess, that's probably going to Dune.
Absolutely.
But we'll talk. The good news is we are going to take a hiatus. I'm going to announce it at the end of the show. But the good news is we will be back in time before the Oscars, and we will have our Oscar recap show. I believe I want to say I think the 30th of March is when we're going to have it, because the Oscars are the 27th. So we will have a recap show on that. But in the meantime, it's a good time to take the intermission. We're going to come back and talk about some high art cinema in the form of Jackass Forever, another movie that was, it can't be cruelly snubbed this year, but next year hopefully merits a Best Ensemble nomination of some sort. If the Oscars really wanted to be populous, Steve-O, Johnny Knoxville, and Pontius would be the host this year.
Dude,
but I digress.
I actually said that as a joke to my friends. I'm like, if they're actually looking for a host, they should just let the Jackass crew host and just hurt themselves on stage during nominees.
That would be biblical. That would be downright biblical if that would happen. But the Oscars don't have guts after Seth MacFarlane. But we'll come back. We'll talk Jackass Forever because I got a handful of things to say about it. We got some funny stuff to riff on that movie. I know we do. First Jackass review on Sleepless, too. How about that? Of any form, the revival show or the radio show. We'll come back, talk Jackass Forever. This is Sleepless with Steve. And we'll be back after this brief Zoom-sponsored intermission. Back and better than ever. This is Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube on this Wednesday evening. Back and better than ever, as we like to say. Steve Pulaski joining you with, of course, Dominic Guanzon and Joe Viso. We are talking Jackass Forever, and it aggravated me. I had to abruptly cancel the show last week because I was primed to talk about this movie. This was a very fun movie to see in the theater. First Jackass movie since 2010, which was Jackass 3D. It is obviously the first Jackass movie to feature, or to not to feature, rather, two of the foundational cast members in Bam Margera and Ryan Dunn for vastly different reasons. Ryan Dunn obviously passed away 10 years ago. That's amazing to think about. And Bam Margera was fired mid-production. He does show up for a credit scene, a very brief archival footage credit scene. So there is a little callback there, but they didn't include any of the footage with him that they shot. Maybe that's going to be in Jackass 4.5. I don't know. But we shall see on that. But yeah, the first immediate thing about Jackass Forever is the new cast members, because the guys are obviously getting older. It doesn't seem to hinder Johnny Knoxville much. But this is probably, and I went into it thinking this because it's hard not to, this is probably the last Jackass movie with the original cast.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that if there's going to be another Jackass movie down the road, it's probably going to feature some of these 5 new faces, or it's going to be an entirely different cast, and maybe some of them show up for some ancillary cameos. If Paramount chooses to make another Jackass movie, and they've proven, at least in recent years, that they don't mind taking long gaps between these movies. So the future of this franchise is a little murky. But at the same time, you think back, I went back and watched all the movies again after seeing this one on top of some episodes of the TV show. And I also want to recommend, just general thoughts here as I bloviate. I also really want to recommend my new favorite podcast, which is Steve O's Wild Ride. If you haven't checked that out yet on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, I highly recommend it because he has some interesting guests. Everybody from Jeff Tremaine to Knoxville and the Jackass regulars to like T-Pain and Frankie Muniz. Just a lot of really interesting people. Corey Feldman. Steve-O's podcast is an absolute must listen. He is such an interesting dude, and he gets some really good guests on his tour bus. So I just want to throw that out there and recommend that. But as far as the new cast is concerned, because I do think that's going to be a portion of our conversation, there's 5 of them in total. There's a goofball nicknamed Poopies for one, Sean McInerney. There's him. Where he got that nickname, they never say. That was a cliffhanger if there ever was one. There's him, Zach Holmes, Zach Ass, who's freaking hilarious. That dude is funny. Roly-poly type of dude. He's a character. There's Jasper Dolphin, who I believe is a rapper or a member of a rap group. There's Rachel Wolfson, who's a comedian, the first female member of Jackass. And then there's Eric Manaka. There's Eric Manaka, who I believe is a skateboarder. So in addition to that, you have your regulars. You got Knoxville. You got Steve-O, Pontius, Dave England, Danger Aaron. Can I just say, and I don't know if you guys will agree, I think Danger Aaron Majihi, I think he got put through living hell in this movie. He was the one that took the most abuse in this movie.
To me, he always takes the most abuse because even in 2, they have him. I'm like, to me, that taxi driver bit is still to me the most like, the worst prank.
The best prank.
Yeah, the best prank they've ever done to one of their own cast members. Like, the amount of effort that went into that and the staging and everything, is just like on top of me, like one. Making him look like a cartoonist, a terrorist character, making his beard out of their pubic hair, which one of them had crabs apparently too. And then pistol whipping him, smacking him around, throwing him in a trunk, making him think he was going to die, making him think his friends got shot while filming the movie.
And spoiler alert, it's Jay Chandrasekhar from Broken Lizard.
Yeah.
No, that was wild. And like, you know what I forgot was such a brutal stunt? Like, and I can barely watch it. Like, obviously the paper cuts is probably my number one. But in the 3rd movie, the Lamborghini tooth pull. In the 3rd movie, when they tie that twine around his teeth and accelerate full speed on a landing strip with the Lamborghini. Yeah. That noise, the pop of the tooth is like mic'd. And it is grueling. And he takes a pogo stick to the nutsack in this movie.
Oh, dude, and it fucking... sorry, I used the right one F word, but just thinking back to it, the pain that it looked like. I mean, it's just like... They do the cup test again in this movie from their show.
Yeah, they do.
And, I mean, and they really put it to the test here. But they pogo stick it, and it just smashes down. And it was just like, like...
I can't have kids after watching that scene. Those scenes, because they get the softball pitcher, PK Subban of the New Jersey Devils, shoots a hockey puck.
Not only did he like come at Aaron with all of his best ability, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you."
PK Subban owned his like minute in this movie when he's going for the slap shot and just goes, "Fuck you, Aaron." What were you gonna say, D?
Oh man, Aaron could have just done literally just the cup test, and that's the only stunt he does in the whole movie. But he doesn't. He was like borderline abused. I didn't actually listen to this, but apparently when he was on Steve-O's Wild Ride, he was like borderline saying like apparently that there was like this was like bullying almost. Like I got the worst of it. And there was like that's almost like some drama, not like Bam Margera level drama, but there's like some drama there just because he's getting tossed around so much in this film in particular. Yeah. And it's like, he is the punching bag of Jackass. It did not occur to me until this film that he is the punching bag of the group.
And they've always, like we were just talking about, they subjected him to that terror taxi a bit. That concludes the 2nd movie. But like also too, they kind of did that with Bam, if you remember. I think it was the second movie when they drop him in the snake pit, knowing he's deathly afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
Danger Aaron was like this was almost on the edge of bullying with what they did with him. I admire the guy for taking it in stride, but Jesus Christ, man. Like it was brutal. That whole cup test sequence was brutal.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Bam though. This is before any of before Ryan's Dunn's death. Bam was always kind of the little shit of the group.
Yeah.
That's
he brought it to himself.
He was the
sometimes.
young one. He was the young guy too.
He was the young guy, the cocky guy, the son of a bitch, and it's like when he becomes a little bitch, when like he chickens out so fast, and that is so satisfying. That was like the one thing of the dynamic that I did kind of miss with Bam. We have a complete Jackass Forever is big on 3 levels. 1, they're getting older. 2, new people. And 3, the CKY group, the Philadelphia group, completely absent.
Yeah.
No Brandon DiCamillo,
Yeah.
no Chris Robb, no Brandon Novak, and of course no Ryan Dunn.
Raekwon.
Yes, thank you. It is kind of felt here, but only if you're a hardcore Jackass fan that's been with them since the beginning. Honestly, when I sat down in that theater, and it's almost strategic. The first thing that they did after the cinematic stunt with Chris Pontius Godzilla dick. But anyway,
God, dude,
the first thing they did
is
is the human ramp. The human ramp. That is genius storyboarding. And you're thinking like, this is Jackass. Are they really storyboarding anything? And maybe they're not. But hey, credit where credit is due. When I sat down, and it was like 5 other people in the theater, so I did miss out on the true like theater experience and like being with you guys watching this movie. But even then, just sitting down, the fact that the first stunt that they did was the human ramp, the simplest of stunts, the simplest of pranks or whatever, just dudes hitting each other with skateboards and all that stuff. I honestly felt like a kid again.
Yeah.
Like, to use that old cliche, like, we're right back at it. We're right at home, dude. Yes, their hair's silver. They're clearly like strategically spreading out the pain. I mean, except for Danger Aaron, but for everyone else, they're clearly spreading out the pain between the new people and some of the others. It's like, okay, sure, but goddamn, just seeing them laugh, hearing Wee Man laugh, hearing Steve-O's raspy voice, hearing all that, it was like I was almost tearing up just from the raw nostalgia of it. I felt more nostalgia from this movie than freaking Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like, dude,
sure.
This really was. I'm not joking. I mean this seriously from the bottom of my heart. Seeing Jackass Forever was like an emotional experience for me. And if it wasn't for you, I get that, because this is dumb. I'm not saying this is artistic in any way. This is stupid.
Yeah.
This is dumb. This is a bunch of dudes, a bunch of friends hanging around and just filming themselves getting hurt. But for me, it's parasocial relationship. I completely get that. But for me, that's like kind of like my group, dude, seeing themselves get hurt. And I'm very happy to report that Jackass Forever did not drop the ball in any way, shape, or form, despite those 3 big changes, despite the lack of the CKY group, and they're older and there's new people. The new people felt right at home. I know we kind of did a quick review of them all, but we forgot to mention Black Star. Like, dude, we needed a middle-aged convict. Ex-convict.
He stole the show for me.
He was good. Black Star.
I thought maybe it's like, okay, if he's a reformed convict and he's like,
not black, Dark Shark.
Dark Shark.
I'm sorry.
Dark
Why
Shark.
did I say Black Star? I'm so sorry.
I was just like,
I'm thinking of the Bowie album, dude. No, Dark Shark.
I was totally thinking the Bowie album. I'm sorry. With him, I was thinking like, is he just playing it up? Just playing it up for the cameras. No, dude. When the tarantula is like in his fishbowl and he breaks out of the
tape,
the tape, was like, no, that's pure terror. That is real shit.
Survival.
And that is exactly what we need
like,
here in this.
I love it because he comes in so hard, and they put that bowl on him, and the minute they drop that tarantula, his facial expression completely changed.
And by the way,
good.
Aaron, Aaron was on the other end of that one,
Yeah,
but whatever.
And even though I don't want to spoil anything, Aaron wins that challenge and loses. He has to
and
suffer
Dark
the
Shark
punishment.
wins it with his personality almost. Yeah,
Oh
he
my
was
God.
good. He was good. I almost forgot about him. His real name too, Dark Shark. I don't know if you looked it up. His real name is, it's not Compton, it's Compston. Compston Wilson. That's a name. That's a name right there. He's cool though. The only cast, I mean, Eric Manaka really isn't used a lot in a lot of the different stunts. He's kind of the skateboarder of the group, you know, kind of almost incorporating, as Dom mentioned, the CKY element. And I kind of figured this going in. And I like her, and that's why I wanted her to be a little bit more involved. But Rachel Wolfson doesn't really do a ton here.
Yeah.
Outside of the scorpion Botox scene, she doesn't really do a ton. And I thought that was probably my only lurching negative with this, because I like her even as a comedian. I was looking her up about a month before the movie came out. I like her style. She's got a very funny nature to her. And I kind of wish that even in like the furniture store skit, she was just incorporated more.
I was about to bring that up because it's like, that's like the first time we see her after the opening of this movie. And we're like, oh, okay, so we got, you know, Zach Ass over here, who, to me, out of all the new people, him and Poopsies was my favorite. I was like, okay, so he's incorporated into this, like, you know, he falls on the thing to launch Johnny Knoxville in the air. What is she going to do? Nothing. Like, she's in the skit for no reason, and it's just like...
I really think she tried to do something, or, like, they tried to do something with her, and then, like, they had to cut her part out because
Maybe.
it wasn't... You know, all these prank videos with real people,
Yeah.
you have to cut some stuff out if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So,
and
I was also, like...
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, too, with whenever 4.5 comes out, or Forever.5, whatever they're going to call it, you know, maybe we'll see more of her in that. Like, the stuff that was left on the cutting room floor.
Because she's a good comedian too. She's very active on Instagram. My favorite Instagram picture of her, or my favorite Instagram post of her, actually, I have to bring this up because it stuck in my head. I remember it. She posts a bikini pic of her at the beach, and it says, "I post bikini pics, or I post hot pictures so people take me serious as a comedian."
Yeah.
She's
Oh, God,
funny.
that's so
She's
true.
funny. She's funny as hell, Rachel Wolf.
No fault of her own, but the film almost made it look like she was incapable of feeling pain and almost like a detriment to the group, because the taser, the freaking, where she was a mime,
She had to lick it.
well, first of all, the point of the game is that you can't react, so that was almost playing against all of them, but she takes the taser like a freaking boss, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was
even the
gonna say,
Botox, even the Scorpion Botox scene, dude. And that's why I wanted to see her do more stunts, because I'm like, this woman, she's tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
she
she's got
had
the
to grow.
biggest
I don't know
balls
her
out of the whole
backstory.
group, honestly.
I don't know if she had to grow up with brothers. She had to grow up with
I
brothers.
got that vibe as well.
Because she is tough as hell, man. And that was another reason where it's like, I want more of her, because she seems like you could put her in that dark room in the very beginning where they can't escape and they think there's a snake in there. You could put her in that and she would probably be the smartest and wiliest of them all.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot, as underused as she was.
I was waiting for her to be like an X factor of the group, kind of like almost like an Audrey Plaza-esque kind of like, what's going on with this person. But we'll see. Hopefully there'll be the new 4.5 or something. But yeah, dude. Hey, yo, Poopsies. I was like, did I just scrub Poopsies out of the first 3 Jackass films? Because it's like, was he just there the whole time? No, he's actually a new person. But he legitimately felt like he was there the whole time.
He was good. He was good for what they used him in and stuff, especially that, like I said, that quiet game test with the snake. Like he was a trooper in those scenes too. And Jasper's funny too. Jasper has a couple good moments, especially with body surfing with Zach Ass. That dude, man, like, I hate to use this because it's disparaging in a way, but like Mancow, the radio host, he used to always say he loved Chris Farley, and he said the simplest formula for comedy is fatty, fall down, and go boom. And dude, Zach Holmes is funny as hell, man. And like you worry because Preston Lacey's taken on that role for so long, but they fit together very well. And it's also too, I almost think, like with the absence of Phil Margera, Bam's father, that they brought him in too for some of those scenes. That guy, there was 2 moments in this where I like had tears in my eyes of laughter. The one of which is where Preston Lacey accidentally shits himself. That was just hysterical. I still laugh thinking about that. His reaction. I'm a 51-year-old man. I shit my pants. But there's that scene. And the scene, again, that I just mentioned, when they're in that basement, that dark room, and they think that they've unleashed snakes and they're playing pranks on them with the cattle prod and stuff. And when Zach Holmes escapes that room and jumps over that lane that they created into the mouse traps.
Like, the thumbtacks, too. Like, Jesus Christ.
The hanging frying pans. The hanging frying pans. I was like, did they not? It was such a genius prank. It was such a genius prank. I'm like, they had to have done this before, and I don't think they did.
No.
And it just goes to show, it's like, yeah, no, this movie is more than justified. Like they just keep.
And I love
one. It's been 10 years, 12 years since they made the last one, so it's like, yeah, they clearly have stuff in the tank. It's like, have they really run the gamut of all things? No. And that was early on too. I was like, no, we're in for a good time because. I mean, we got a Mythbusters crossover, or as close as we can get to a Mythbusters crossover with Tori Belleci lighting Steve-O's farts, and it's like, okay, we got industrial fart lighting here. Industrial fart and magic.
I wanted to say too, and the best part is that I don't know about you guys. To me, 3 is the weakest of all these movies. Not a bad movie. No. I just think out of all of them, I'm like, I feel like they might be running out of material now. So when I heard they were making 4, it's like, all right, let's see if they have stuff up their sleeve still. And they very much do. The film is not short on any of that. And when I was rewatching the films, I still felt the same way. I was like, damn, for some reason, there's something about 3 that I feel like, it's just not as close as those first 2 or even this one right now in terms of the stunts and pranks that they do here.
Having just rewatched them all, I will say, you know what I think makes 3 the weakest? And I liked it when I saw it initially, but it only took me about 10 minutes to realize why it was like this one isn't as great. Is that the problem with 3 is that and it's a lot of movies of this area. 3 was so predicated on the 3D element,
yeah.
which is now non-existent, and basically non-existent. I don't even think you can find a 3D version of this movie available anywhere. And it opens with that Beavis and Butthead intro talking about 3D, and then the whole opening scene is 3D or is made for 3D, and you're watching it. It was fun in the theater. It was a lot of fun in the theater, but it just doesn't hit the same on home media because so much of it was catered to that now non-existent third dimension element.
You're right, but I'll excuse it because Jackass has followed the Saints Row formula or vice versa, which is that literally every entry of these series is a different numerical version. So Jackass number 2, Jackass 3D, Jackass Forever. And it's like the complete inconsistency here is completely in character, similar to how Saints Row does the same thing.
Yeah.
Saints Row 2, Saints Row the Third, 4, numeral 4. But yeah, dude.
Anytime you can mention the Saints Row games as somebody who's played and beat all of them, I respect that.
I love those games.
I guess wouldn't Fast and Furious also be one of those? Because they always oh wait, no, because they did call it Fast and Furious 6. Never mind.
I do know what you're talking about. You're right though. You're right. But yeah, dude, I'm so happy that this is what we got because I was really worried about it. But even the trailers, I was like, man, am I hyping myself too much with this? Clearly the bear thing where they pour honey on Aaron, and it's like, okay, that has to be CG. Because even on Eric Andre, who, by the way, I'm totally fine with Eric Andre being in here as much as he was, because people were expecting Eric Andre to be part of the gang. I'm like, no.
He's just a cameo.
Jackass have always had periphery people. Tony Hawk has always been periphery, in orbit, but not quite in the gang. And I appreciate that. So Eric Andre, perfect amount of Eric Andre here. But
the bear.
But anyway, the bear, yeah. I was like, even in Eric Andre's show, the bear thing was CGI'd in. That's not he didn't actually he wasn't in the room with the bear when they did the bear thing. No, dude, Aaron was literally getting molested by this bear, and I was actually I was on top of my seat.
Yeah,
you know how you hang yourself on top of the seat. Man, they really fucked with Aaron. I'll be the third person to say it. They really messed with him.
That
And
was
it's like,
that was the one I was
damn.
just like, it kind of hit me. It's like, yeah, no, he's been the punching bag in all these movies, and like that one right there, I was
Yeah.
like, that's going too far, because he could have seriously gotten killed in that, like, or at least taken like a severe like injury, where like whether it be like, you know, a chunk of his skin getting cut out by the bear, or like getting stabbed by a bear claw, or being bitten. It was like,
You watch
dude.
The Revenant, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, I was legit
For real.
thinking that. I was just like, man, like, I saw Leo get messed up by a bear. It's just like, I don't need to see Danger Aaron get messed up by a bear.
Did he ever say
I'll
safety
parlay
first?
this into my final. No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did, because that used to be.
Well,
his
that's
thing
why he
on
didn't
the
say safety. If
that
he had
was
said
more on the
safety
show.
first,
That was more on the show that he did the safety
Oh, that's
first
true.
element. That was more on the show too. But I do remember that, because I always thought of him as probably the single most underrated player of Jackass, Aaron McGeehee. I always thought of him as the most underrated guy. And for the amount of crap they put him through in this one, I hope he gets his just due, at least in the public sphere. I'm going to parlay this final thought, though, into my review, is that, and I'm circumventing back because I mentioned Steve-O's podcast, which is a must listen. He interviewed Jeff Tremaine before the movie came out. And he talks to Jeff Tremaine, and Steve-O's like, I remember being pissed off when you brought up Jackass 4 to me about a year and a half ago. And I thought I like perked up when I heard that. I'm like, you know, why were you offended by it? And he makes an excellent point. Steve-O does. Steve-O was like, you know, I was really like mad that you brought it up initially. It took me a while to come around on it, because I'm thinking we are lucky to have made it this far and are mostly unharmed. He's like, we've had broken bones, we've had sprains, we've had concussions, we've had all of that. He's like, but all it's going to take is shooting this movie, and Steve-O goes for like Knoxville to break his fucking neck. And then it's going to be a lasting stain on the entire series. He goes, that's all we need. We're all getting older. He's like, all it's going to take is that one stunt that we shouldn't have done, and we're going to irreparably damage ourselves or kill ourselves. And he goes, we're at that age now. We got to think about that. He goes, when we were young and indestructible, it was a totally different thing. And thankfully, that didn't happen. The worst that happened with this was Johnny Knoxville got a couple broken bones and a concussion, only a couple broken bones and a concussion from that damn bull. And he said his wife, his wife's anger was more painful than the concussion. but moreover, though, like, this movie is, and you kind of don't realize it until the end credits, this movie is very much a legacy sequel or a requel, to quote another Paramount movie in Scream. But it's very much a legacy sequel, because there's a lot of stunts that kind of echo previous stunts. And if you don't notice it by the time that you're watching them in real time, but till the end comes and you see sort of the callbacks, you know, if you don't notice it by the time you see the end credits, you're probably not going to care at the end of the day, because it's still funny. And that's the beautiful part about Jackass, is it's still funny. It's a highlight reel of total American depravity. It's not everybody's bag, but I will always say this: the people that like Jackass are often friends of mine, are often close friends of mine. And it is one of those things that you can just put on TV sometimes when you're hanging out, because I've done it with a group of friends for background noise. And every so often we all kind of lock on the TV and we're transfixed like we've never seen a particular stunt before. That's the lasting impact of Jackass. I don't want to live in a world where this series doesn't exist. And outside of a couple people like Eric Manaka and Rachel Wolfson of the new cast members being used, I'm not sure the torch passing here, if that was what is intended, was entirely effective. But it was a damn good time at the movies. 3 out of 4 stars for Jackass Forever. They really proved they weren't done yet. And I'll end with that. Dom, what say you? Final thoughts.
Do you know what just fun fact, random fun fact? Do you know what the name of the Jackass theme song is?
The guitar riff one? No, what is it?
It's called Corona.
Oh, Jesus. It really is Illuminati. It's an Illuminati world.
Anyway, hey, shout out to Jeff Tremaine. Your filmography is great. Your first 4 films are literally shit, number 2, boob, and crap. Anyway, 3.5 out of 4 stars for Jackass Forever. This gave me exactly what I wanted, and you accomplished so much despite those big three, seemingly obstacles that you completely surmounted. And yeah, dude, it's so makes me so happy once again. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Joseph, your final thoughts.
Jeff Tremaine, thank you for making this movie because I hated the dirt, so I accept this as an apology. No, Jackass Forever is about as fun as I wanted it to be, even more. I think, if anything, too, the opening to this movie is the best opening of all the movies. I was laughing my ass off at how well done it was, and just, like, it was like watching, like, all your favorite people come back for a major motion picture event, and they did not take the short side of that. They did it very effectively. I had a ton of fun. It was great to see. I already saw it twice. I saw it with a bunch of people, and then I went to go see it with my friends the day of the Super Bowl before it even started. So if that tells you one thing, is that I already watched this movie twice within a short span. This, to me, it's a ton of fun. If they want to do another one, I'm so down for it. I'm even down if they want the new people to take over and have, like, the, as they called, the war dogs in this movie, of the old crew, just come in and maybe do a prank thing. So that way they don't really injure themselves. They're just like messing with the public people or doing like one of those stunts that's not really too like damaging to them. But yeah, I'm so down to see another Jackass film at some point. But if this is the last ride, it was one hell of a ride to end on. 3 out of 4 stars for me as well.
I can't remember a time Jackass wasn't a part of my life, and I want to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching the first movie when I was about way too young, about 5, 6 years old, probably about 6, I want to say. And yeah, it's been fun ever since. So I'm glad to see these guys back and thriving. Because it feels like this movie's done even really well too. On top of Jackass just still being relevant, but they did an excellent job marketing this movie because this movie was delayed 3 times.
Yeah,
it was delayed 3 times. It could have lost the luster, but they did an excellent job with the social media promotion and the callbacks to the previous eras of the show and the movies.
Such a great trailer. When's the last time you laughed your ass off with your friends or got together?
Excellent.
And like, especially like, you know, with how everything has been. I'm not saying like it was bad as like 2020 going to 2021, but still, like, you know, we still haven't seen, like, you know, people being together and everything is still a thing that's hard to do today in some areas. So it to me was a perfect like tagline for something like this.
Great review, gentlemen, and I'm sad to say that it'll be our last review, at least for a couple of weeks. If you don't know now, you know. I already made it public and stuff. I've kept these guys in the loop throughout the process. I am moving, which is very fun. I know somebody, maybe one person, has noticed the absence of the usual Biggie Smalls figures up here on my closet door. They are currently in boxes, so I am getting ready to move in the next week or so over to the great state of Iowa. So I am moving for work, and due to the logistics of that move and everything like that, I do have to call for a hiatus, a temporary hiatus nonetheless. I am currently shooting for the show to return sometime in mid-March, hopefully March 9th. That only gives us 2-week absence. And we come back March 9th, we can talk the Batman. Even if we come back the following week, we can talk the Batman, and we're just in time to cover the Oscars as well. So we are going to take a brief hiatus, the first, really technically the second hiatus that we've taken, but this one is a little bit more planned on that note. But I greatly appreciate the commitment of these two gentlemen and you, the viewer. So we will be back. Highlights of this will be posted this weekend, no less, on my website, stevepulaski.com, and on YouTube, where you're watching right now. But in the meantime, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I will keep you posted on my social medias. Follow me on Twitter. You can see the tag, the beautiful end screen Joe set up here in just a couple of minutes. At Steve J. Pulaski on Twitter. You can follow these two dudes too. I highly recommend it. Their content is generally more fun than mine, in so many words. But for Dominic Guanzon, Joe Viso, and yours truly, at least for a couple of weeks, a brief hiatus, this has been Sleepless with Steve.